I want to show you a technique that I use often to set up demolition plans. This can be used by any discipline, and it basically has to deal with how to make the room name and number show up in a demolition plan. It's surprisingly tricky, but what we're going to do is create a level 1 mechanical demolition plan. And for things to look demolished on the screen, the phase has to be set to new construction, or in this case it's set to phase 2, and then the phase filter is set to show previous plus demolished. And as I mentioned in the previous video, rooms only show up in views that have a matching phase setting. So in this case the phase setting is phase 2, therefore the phase 1 rooms or spaces cannot show up in this view. I know that may be a little hard to understand at first, but because the view has to be set to phase 2 to trigger the graphical change of things being demolished, the phase 1 rooms cannot show up. So how do you make a room name and number tag show up for the existing? Because that's what you're seeing on the screen is existing rooms and things to be demolished in those rooms. Sometimes you're demolishing all the rooms and walls and it doesn't really matter. But if there's just cosmetic work and new air terminals and things like that being added, you want the contractor to know which room he or she needs to go into to do the work. If there's several rooms that look similar, it might be hard just looking at the plans and trying to count the number of doors down the hallway. So first of all, we're just setting up the view to show the demolished work, which is pretty typical. We're going to hide things that are not relevant. And then we're going to create a second view. So we copied the demolished view and renamed it to Demo Rooms and Names Only. And then in that view, we hide everything except for the spaces and the space tags. And now because this is a new view, there are no tags yet. So I'm going to use the tag all command. So this view is set to phase 1 so that those existing rooms and spaces show up. We tag them, and now we're going to take our demolition view and drag and drop it on the sheet. So a lot of people will have this basic view. It's the floor plan with things to be demolished, but there's no room name or numbers. So now we can take this second view that we created, and Revit has a special feature when you overlap a view on a sheet. In both directions, a reference plane will show up when the models are aligned, so that the two views represent the model, and when those views overlap, there's a snap when the two models align. And then we have our room name and number aligned with the demolition plans.